Democratic Senator Chris Coons of Delaware. Senator, thank you so much for joining us this evening. Back to the debt ceiling deal. You say that you will be voting for it. But of course, there was a very strict time constraint. They're right up against the clock. If there were more time, what changes would you have wanted to see the White House push for in this final bill?
Well, Alex, I think this is a positive for the American people and a success for the White House. If you look back at the bill that passed the House-controlled body just a few weeks ago and the sharp, steep cuts they were demanding in non-defense domestic spending, I'm comfortable with where we're ending up. To your question, I would have liked to see a serious conversation about closing some of the tax loopholes, some of the efforts that are being made by the House to make the Trump tax cuts permanent, which puts a real downward limit on future revenue for the federal government. That's something our president put on the table, but the Republicans refused to budge on. I am very glad that investments in veterans' health care remain untouched. They'll be fully implemented, that the incentives for a transition to a clean energy economy to help in the fight against climate change, those were untouched, although that was a real priority for Speaker McCarthy. This is a tough package, but I think one we can all live with, and I am relieved we are getting this done before the default deadline.
You say it's a tough package. Down the line, are you worried that some of these provisions, student loan payments, work requirements, pipeline in West Virginia, that those could hurt Democrats in 2024?
Well, I frankly think President Biden and the Democratic Congress has a remarkable record to run on from what we accomplished in the last year. President Biden's first term, he signed into law some amazing pieces of legislation. Biggest investment in mental health in a generation, strengthening gun background checks, investing in infrastructure, bringing advanced manufacturing back to this country through the bipartisan CHIPS and Science bill, reducing prescription drug prices. There is so much for a Democrat-facing election in 2024 to run on that some of the provisions you just referenced in this deal, I don't think will be an issue really at all.
One of the things that's still being discussed is defense funding. Do you think that the Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer should commit to passing more defense funding after this bill gets passed in order to address those concerns about an insufficient, some believe, Pentagon budget?
Well, we are about to see a counteroffensive begin in Ukraine, and our president has been forceful and strong in his support of Ukraine. So, too, have Senator Schumer and McConnell. We will face pressure for a supplemental appropriation bill for at least three reasons. One, for defense spending, as you just referenced. Two, to continue our support for Ukraine as they continue their fight to expel the Russian invaders. And three, a number of areas that come in a bill that I'm responsible for, supporting the State Department and our foreign assistance programs to respond to China's expansion of its global diplomatic reach, its development programs, the ways in which it's winning influence in the developing world. My hope is that we will take up and look at a supplemental appropriation bill later this year that will look at all of those, how we compete with China, how we sustain our support for Ukraine, and if necessary, additional investment in defense.
Senator, I know it's busy up there on the Hill this evening. Thank you so much for your time.